All right, guys, here we go. We're going to take a ride on the train to Living History Days.
Bye, Dave.
Good to see you. Hey guys, it's great to see you again. We're at the print shop today, and this is kind of a cool thing. You guys have books that you read in school, and maybe you go down to the library and get books. Maybe at home you have some magazines or things like that around. Did you ever wonder where that stuff comes from? I've wondered that a lot. This is my friend Cecil, and this is a really old, it's called a printing press?
Platten Printing Press. Chandler and Price is the brand name of it.
Okay, and he's going to show us today how you actually go from a blank piece of paper to something that's printed and done. So tell us how this works.
Okay, well, in order to print anything, you have to have four basic items. You got to have something to print on, you got to have something to print with, you got to have something to mash this together, and you got to have some kind of what we call ink to transfer the images. So let's back up and start with the paper material. You can print on many different things: tin, leather, wood, steel, and of course we're going to do paper today. And you can use many different things to print with. You could use grease, you could use paint, varnish, lacquer, you name it. Water. You got a watermark on a piece of paper, that's done with water. You have to have a printing surface, and I'm going to show you one of the printing surfaces is a piece of linotype slug.
That looks like that's, let's see if you guys can see this. It looks like it says Yad Yiratsi. Yad Yiratsi. What's that supposed to mean? Is that a different language?
Yes, in a way, but if you turn it up and read it from left to right, just like you would a regular book, spell the letters.
Historydday.
You got it.
History Day. That's what we're doing today.
Yep. And that is cast on a linotype machine, which I no longer have. So I got to take real good care of that because we're going to use it to print with. And other printing surfaces can be obtained by individual letters. These are individual letters, like you go back to Benjamin Franklin, and he printed with words that were put together one letter at a time. And these are a few of those letters. And there's many different sizes, many different styles of letters, individual letters. They're just like our alphabet, all of our punctuation, all of our numbers. So that's one type of doing it. Here is a little emblem of a pig. This would print and would show a pig after it's printed. Okay. Another type of printing is what we call a picture or a halftone. In order to get the picture to print, you might notice the dark of this man's hair. Those are series of little dots, but they're real blunt on the point. Down here where it's not very heavy colored, those are like needle points. And the reason for that is this dark area up here is going to pick up more ink. The light areas down here are very fine and they won't pick up as much ink. So when paper is pressed against this, where there's a lot of ink, you'll get dark appearances such as your hair or your eyebrows or a shadow. And where it's real light, then you get the skin color. That's called a halftone. So what else do we need to talk about?
Well, you told me something about a thing that'll put numbers on the page and it'll change the numbers as you go. What
That's
was
true.
that?
And this is a numbering machine. Just a little tool that a printer uses if you want to like number a ticket or a form. If you want to number tickets, you usually have a stub with a number on it and the ticket with a number on it. So you need two of these and set them from 0, and every time that the press comes together, it would advance that number one number at a time until you run the quantity that's needed. But the number is activated by this plunger. As the press comes together, it pushes it down, and that activates the wheel in there to turn up one more number, just like if you had a counter on your baling machine. Every time a bale kicks out, it would
Turns it over to another number.
It would turn it to a number.
Okay.
Exactly the same way.
So we have these things with letters and pictures and whatever, but how does it get from there to the page? Because you talked about them coming together. How does that work?
Okay, that's probably the third item in the 4 that I mentioned.
Okay.
And that's where the printing press comes in. But if you take and write something on a piece of paper, like the letter 1, I've done exactly the same thing there as what this printing press is going to do here. You have 4 items involved. You have paper, you have ink, you have the instrument, which is my arm pushing on it, and you have your brain telling you what you're going to put on there.
Okay.
Okay, that's the 4 basic items. And here we are. We have the type, and we have ink. I'll bring you up and show you what the ink on this looks like. It's a real thick, heavy, almost like grease substance. Very thick, very thick. But it's applied with a putty knife or anything that you just, in this case, it's just a piece of metal that I use. Dab it on the machine, let the machine run for an extended period of time, and it'll level that ink out so that it's the same all the way across.
So this part right here is where the ink goes?
So that is called a platen.
Okay.
And as soon as I turn the machine on, you'll see how it can level the ink on that and make it even across. Now,
So if I stuck my hand on that, it would come out black, right?
let me see you touch it with your finger. Hard.
Oh, look at that.
And that's going to do the same. Yes. There's your fingerprint.
There's my fingerprint. Look at that.
Now that's going to do the same thing to the type that we're going to print, like this. Let me take the form off of the press so that you can see what we're dealing with. This form is composed so that it has all the lines and the letters. We're ready to print on this. It's locked up in a form. There's both wood and metal involved in this. It's got these wedges right here that are turned so that they expand and hold all this loose material tight so that it will not pop out of this form. This is a steel form around here.
So these are all separate pieces like this thing.
It is.
And they all go in there together.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. And between each of these lines, there's what we call furniture or spacing. Is to open it up so that you have room between the lines. If you're reading a newspaper column, you do not need space between it. But for like posters where you glance off, you don't want all the lines so close together you can't see.
So they might have learned before, like in one of their typing classes, about single spaced or double spaced.
True.
Is that what that spacing is?
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
Same way between words. Little words, little type does not need much space. Large type needs a lot more room. I can point around the room and show you examples of that. So we'll lock this up in the press.
Say, I really want to see how this works. This looks really cool.
And this old press could have been powered by anything that would turn. You could have used what they call a treadmill with a dog or a goat or something on it to turn it and get it started. the modern convenience, I'm using a little bitty electric motor to turn it. But you could stand there with a crank and turn it for me if I
really?
had one. Yeah.
Yeah. Would it be this big wheel that would turn?
Yeah, just rotate it by hand and you can see what we're going to do.
Oh, look at it move. And there's the ink.
Yeah. It goes up here and gets a fresh coat of ink, and then it rolls back down over the type, puts ink on the type. If you'll just continue turning that, I'll actually put one of these pieces of paper in there and engage it, and you'll hear it go clunk. There. That printed it right there. Now I'll take the clutch off.
Look at that. It's the Illiana Power Association annual History Day, which is what we're doing today. This is September 18th. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So can you show it to us working at full speed?
I will. Yeah, you bet. Well, not full speed. We're going to do it slow.
Okay.
But it will run very fast. I mean, it'll run so fast you can. I can adjust it so it would run so fast I couldn't feed it. But for safety's sake and for demonstration purposes, we're going to run it slow.
Okay.
And I even have to give it a boost by hand.
All right.
I got a switch under here that I can give it a boost, and we'll let it run. Now, when I pull this lever back, is when it printed. With the lever forward, it's not letting this plate and this surface back here come tight together. They're just coming up.
There's a little gap.
There's a gap, and it's not touching the type. When I pull the lever back, then you will actually bring those together with several hundred pounds of pressure. And if you left your hand in there, you would no longer have a hand.
Ouch.
Out.
Yeah.
So, timing is everything. Pull the lever back, let it print, take the pressure off.
There's another one.
That's another.
Look at that.
Yep.
Okay, so
And so if you need numbers, several of them, and you say you needed 100, there's a counter right here that you can set, and it'll count up just like this little numbering machine right here. But that numbering machine there will tell you how many you have printed.
that way you know how many you make.
Yes, and every time you take the clutch off, it stops the numbering machine from counting. So
Okay.
you only print when you have the lever back to engage the print.
Now, before we had a printing press, which was in the 1600s, is that right?
Gutenberg is given credit for that. I think it was in 1400.
1400s. Before that, if I wanted to make a book, how did I make it?
With pen and ink.
You had to handwrite the whole thing.
Right.
So this was a lot faster.
How long would it take you to print that?
Well, here's what I was thinking, because I'm pretty fast.
Yeah.
I think we should have a race. What do you
Okay.
think?
Here's the pencil.
And give me a piece of paper.
Okay.
And I got to write Illiana Antique Power Association Annual History Day, September 18th, 2020, Rainsville, Indiana. And don't forget the commas. All right?
Yes. Yes.
So I'm going to watch this.
Okay.
You're going to do that.
Okay.
Let me see if I can get a place here to write. I'm going to come around this side of you.
All right. Get that out.
Give me just a second here.
We'll get started.
All right.
Okay.
Let me get good and loose, so I'm good and ready.
Okay.
I'm going to see if I'm faster than the press.
What I'm afraid of, I'm going to run out of paper before he gets 2 or 3 lines written.
All right. On your mark.
Get set.
Go.
All right. There we go. Remember, I'm running it about as slow as I can run it.
Well, I'm running as fast as I can run.
No contest.
September 18th, 2020, Rainsville, Indiana. I forgot my comma, and I got to print it at the stop. How did I do?
Well, you are a fast printer.
I got one. How many do you have? Let's see who won.
Well, Do we have to count? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
9 to 1. Now look at this, though. I think mine looks better. What do you guys think? Probably not. I'm kind of a sloppy writer. Don't tell my teacher.
I'm prejudiced.
Well, that's really amazing, Cecil. I like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Before this time, everything that was printed had to be done with the
Movable.
movable type, the individual letters.
So, boy, setting up even a page would be
Setting up a page was a monumental job.
Yeah.
Can you imagine printing a dictionary or a Bible?
I was going to say the Bible would take forever.
Or that, where you've got hundreds of,
Yeah.
thousands of pages.
Yeah.
And you run out of type. See, that was the problem with our Declaration of Independence. If you ever get a chance to read the original, you'll see in there where they run out of S's, I think it is, and they had to use L's or J's in place in order to get enough to print a whole page.
No kidding.
Because the British stopped all shipments of type to this country, and we didn't at that time have enough supplies on hand to compose whole pages. So the Declaration of Independence has many substitutes in it, and you have to interpret into that the words.
No kidding.
It looks like it's misspelled, but there's a reason for that.
You wouldn't think of typeset as being a means of war, but it really was a way to disrupt communication.
Absolutely.
That's fascinating.
But to continue on with the creation of the perfection of the linotype machine, other machines had been in progress, but they weren't able to cast the line and return the individual matrices to be used again with just the touch of a key.
Okay.
So about 1888 or 89, a German inventor invented the process that completed the perfection of the linotype machine, and in effect it revolutionized the world, because before that time reading material was very valuable, very scarce. Immediately following that, newspapers, periodicals, journals, dictionaries, Bibles, so on and so forth, soon became readily available to every person in the United States because of the linotype machine.
Yeah.
So as a printer, I like to mention that the linotype machine actually changed the world.
Probably as much as the press itself did, huh?
As much as the press did, yeah.
Wow.
I would say even more so, because it made massive numbers of printing available. And that continued on until up in the other stages of printing, when offset came on, and now computer technology has taken over on that. And touching on that subject, in order to print color on here, like if someone wanted part of a job printed in black and another part of the job printed in red, to do it here, I have to wash the ink all off of that and then reapply the colored ink on it.
Or have a second press and run it a second time. Or
So on a computer, it's so simple. Press 2 or 3 keys and you got red or whatever color you want. So,
Cecil, I just want to thank you for showing us how this printing press works. I think about where I work, we have a copy machine, and it's a whole lot faster than this, but I just never thought about how much it takes to go from a blank piece of paper to something that is printed and finished. And that really is something that kind of changed the world, isn't it?
I think so. I feel that it is, yeah. Our education grew exponentially with the onset of this type of printing. It just made it available to so many more people, and to me there was just no limit in it. It just phenomenal what happened after the turn of the century in printing material.
Some of you kids there in class, I'm kind of like you. I really didn't like books when I was your age, and some of you like books, but some of us don't. Next time you pick your books up, reach in your desk right now and maybe think about how much work went into that piece of paper and how much important information is in there for us to learn. Have a great day. glad you came on this trip with us. I hope you learned some things today. I hope it was a lot of fun. I hope you'll come back and see us again sometime. And maybe someday you could come out here in person and get to ride the train and see some of the very neat things we've gotten to share with you. Hope you have a great day. We'll see you.